did get something from there. But welcome, Matt, Kayla. What's going on, guys?
Hey, John.
Hey,
How are you, buddy?
it's been a good day so far. It's weird that we're not going to have a chat, but I'll still answer everybody's questions in the Q&A if they want to send them through.
Perfect. Yeah. So instead of the chat box, guys, today we're going to use the Q&A box. So just give you guys a heads up. Matt, brother, what's going on with you, man?
Not much, man. How have you been?
Doing amazing. We're about to get hit with a storm here, so hoping everything stays alive and we're good to go and don't get the Wi-Fi shut down on me. But we are good. We actually got hit with a storm. So obviously we're here in Destin. We got hit with a storm last week, and it was a tornado warning. And there's a tornado that touched down, like, I don't know, several miles away. And you know, obviously going through Hurricane Sandy and everything, the wife is not a fan of those things. And we put a little frozen helmet, like the movie helmet, on our daughter and put a life jacket on her and went into our safe space. And maybe we grabbed a few cold ones just in case, you know, we were going down. We're going down with a little buzz.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
you got to keep morale up at that point.
Absolutely. But the cool thing is, for anybody that ever has those experiences, on YouTube, you can watch the Weather Channel live. So we pulled it right up onto our phones. It was cool. But guys, today I want to definitely bring some people on a role play. My goal is to get 3 people on today, but I want to start off with something that's been heavy on my heart. And Matt, you and I were talking about it briefly this morning. And I was working out this morning, and I didn't want to do it. Like there's not an ounce of me that wanted to do it. I hit the bag for about 10 minutes, and I didn't want to do it. But I went through the whole hour process. And what I realized was when I adapted the mentality of no excuses, just results, and I truly lived that core value as it's one of mine, my life changed. And so everybody listening right now, that we all live by these core values, right? That's how we filter our decision making. And whether you're a business owner or not, we filter our decision making through the core values that we have. Opportunities, you know, people that we hang around, the things that we do, the decisions we make. And so I want to pose a question to everybody listening. And my question is this. Okay, my question is this. Well, first I want to make a statement, and that is, who you are today and what you have currently. Imagine if you did everything that you led up to today and you did it without excuses. Would you be where you're at today? Right? Absolutely not. You'd be further along. So who you are today is way different than who you're going to be in a year from now if you adopt this one thing, and that's no excuses, just results. So imagine this. Imagine if you decided to no longer let the old excuses, the disempowering limited beliefs, the old stories rob you from the results that you're looking for, rob you from the new powerful story that you're trying to create. Imagine if you decided no more you're going to let those excuses put you into this average box and hold you back. Now, if you said today that you will no longer breathe life into those excuses, think about what your life would look like. Think about what your income would look like. What would your experiences be? Right? Where would your relationships be? How about your impact? Where would you be at with your legacy? So thinking about those things is something that I just pose a question to you, because I want to look at the other end of things too. You know, where you're at today is because you've lived your life with giving into excuses. You lived your life with living in these limited beliefs. And that's the reason why you're at the level that you're at right now. Whether you're making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, you're fulfilled, you're not fulfilled, you have an abundance, you have scarcity. I don't care where you are. But if you decided to no longer allow excuses to dictate your life, where would you be 365 days from now? Now, if you decide to say, you know what, John, that sounds good, but the old me, the excuses, I'm not going to be able to overcome them. So fast forward 2 years from now, what does your life look like if you don't overcome those things? Like if your excuses just get stronger because the more it fires, the more it wires. If the limitations continue to grow, now what does your income look like? Now, what does your relationships look like? How about your experiences? What about your impact? Where's your legacy at? See, to me, it scares the hell out of me that in 2 years, if I don't overcome these limitations and these excuses, where I would be and where my family is going to be. Like, it scares me to the core. And the reason is because I truly visualize, like, man, if I continue playing the game at where I'm at right now, I can have an okay life, but I don't want that. And as I'm taking my current breath, somebody's taking their last. You know, people are dying because of cancer, because of coronavirus, all these things at such a young age. And they're just sitting there wishing they just had one more day to fight for what they want, one more day to do the things that they said they want to do, one more day to go ahead and say, you know what? Those excuses, those limited beliefs don't define me. They want one more day. And so it scares the hell out of me that I'm making the choice. I was making the choice to stay in that stuck excuse mode. And it's funny how excuses are, because if you make excuses in one area of your life, I promise you, you're making excuses in every area. And they may not be as amplified or may not be as magnified as certain areas, but you're making excuses. You have created an excuse habit. I can't get on the phones because of this, because of that, because of this, right? I can't get to the gym. I can't work out because of this, because of that, because of this. Right? Like I can't create my own business because of this, because of that, all these things. You've created this excuse habit. And once you drop that, you're going to find results. Hear me again. Once you drop and you lose your excuses, that's when you find your results. Once you lose your excuses, you find your results. So why not start today as this new version of you that says excuses, limitations, old stories. I'm no longer going to allow you to dictate my future, because I'm put on this earth to do something great. And as long as I'm listening to you and I'm believing you, I'm not going to be able to fulfill those dreams, to fulfill that purpose. And so thinking about that, I want you to put today on your calendar as the day that the shift happens, that you say, you know what? Look, excuses are going to be there. And that's the other thing, because Matt, Kayla, you guys could attest to this. Like, it's not like excuses and these limitations and the old stories aren't going to come into your life. They're going to be there. But the difference in successful people, difference in the movers and shakers, is that when they come into their life, those excuses, those limitations, they no longer breathe life into it. They see it, they hear it, and they laugh at it and say, you cannot control or dictate me. I control and dictate you, because I have the power of choice. And so with those yells and those screams that are in your ear right now that are saying, you're not good enough, just wait, oh, your knee hurts, don't go work out, right? The screams and yells that are in your mind right now, the more you take action into finding results, those screams become whispers, and they're way easier to control, right? Way easier to control. So if you're sitting there right now and you know that you've created excuses and that's why you're at where you're at right now, why would you not change? Why would you not change? And I think a lot of it comes down to is when I have those conversations with myself, John, I don't know what to do. Like, okay, I'm sitting here and I know I need to take action. I know I need to make phone calls. I know I need to do these things to better my life, but I just don't, like, I just can't get out of my own head. I can't get out of my head. And we talked about it last week. Well, first off, stop trying to take action off of mood and only take action off of meaning, right? Motivation comes from meaning, not from mood. And the other thing is, sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of that story and try to talk ourselves out of that excuse. But here's what you need to do. You have to talk yourself into action. You're not going to be able to talk yourself out of that excuse or out of that limitation. Dude, it's been wired in your mind for so long. That's a very hard battle to win. So stop trying to talk your way out of something and talk your way into action. So when that limited belief, that excuse comes into your mind, what can you control? You can control taking one step closer to whatever your goal is. And the more you do that, the more distance you create from you, the person you are, to the old you. Another action step, a little bit further. Another action step, a little bit further. And as I said before, the yells and screams, those battles that you have in between the ears start to become whispers, and they're so much more controllable. They're not going to disappear. They're not going to disappear. But I promise you, there are going to continually be yells and screams unless you adopt this mindset and this core value of no excuses, just results, and you live it daily in every area of life. And so that was on my heart today. And I wanted to kind of start the call off like that, because I think a lot of us, before we make calls, are in that like excuse mode. Oh, they don't want to talk to me. Oh, it's, the coronavirus. Oh, I don't want to pressure anybody. I don't want to sell and they don't want to be sold. Like all these excuses. That's not conducive to your goals, right? Your excuses are not conducive to your goals. So why the hell do you keep saying them? Right? Let's adopt this new mentality. I have it on my shirt. On my shirt, it says no excuses, just results. Why? It's because it's very easy to find an excuse. Believe me, everybody can find an excuse, right? And then you could validate it. Man, can you validate the reason why you won't do something? You could validate it till you're blue in the face because you're the biggest liar you know. But when you decide to make the shift, your world will start to shift. And where you're going to be at a year from now, it's going to be insanely different in such a powerful, empowering way. And so, Matt, I want to open this thing up to you real quick because I know you talked about something that's heavy on your heart, and it kind of aligns with this. So I want to kind of give you the floor here.
Yeah, man. And hats off to you. What time did you get up this morning?
I got up at 5:15.
Okay.
Did the gym workouts. Did the a little bit of bag work. Right. Got the cardio in. Did a little bit of a run. Recorded a podcast. Did about 2 hours of work, and now we're here.
Okay, you can stop there. Yeah,
okay.
You're making me feel a little inadequate here. But man, you were bringing it. That's good stuff. I need you to call me every morning if you don't mind.
I got you, brother.
No, man, I just was, and we did get a chance to talk about it a little bit, and it's cycling back to our initial call, but just controlling what you can control. I was just reflecting in the past month and a half, couple months, and you brought up a tornado to start off the call, but Tennessee had a very, actually the market that I live in had a very severe tornado that touched down in Nashville. It traveled east 100 miles, almost like on the interstate, tore up a bunch of markets that we do business in, even some places where we have active listings. So that was obviously quite a setback in the market and very serious for a lot of folks. But then too, you double down with the pandemic that we're in. It's like, now it's like you could really start feeling sorry for yourself, right? And you can have all these excuses to not go to work or do work or be your best, So all that, and then recently too, I'll be real vulnerable here. I had my middle son tested positive for defiance disorder and like ADHD. So that at home, you got all these business things going on and you got home stuff going on too. So now I'm like getting more and more excuses not to continue doing what I've been doing. And it's been a challenge, but cycling back to controlling what I can control and not making excuses, being accountable, taking ownership, let's go to work. Let's do what we can do. And it's talking about like this call we're on now, like we're going to hang up this call. What do you do next? Right. That first step or that first thought even. I did something and I shared this with Steve because we have some personal goals and some professional goals we were discussing with Steve. But I did something as simple a week ago as delete the Facebook app from my phone. And I got my screen time report on Sunday and my screen time was down 51%.
That's insane.
51%.
Commitment.
Yeah. So I'm just saying like it can just be something like if my screen time's down 51%, what am I doing with that time? Maybe I'm spending more time with my kid, or maybe I'm putting that into my business or a new business or something along those lines. It can just be something that simple. We're not talking about anything on these calls that is that riveting, and it does. We'll get some feedback that this doesn't align with objection handling or scripting or something along those lines, but it does. It does, because there's a lot of people that are making excuses right now that they can't do what they need to do from a prospecting standpoint because of the climate that we're in. And that is a false mindset. It's a fallacy. But there's my intro, buddy.
Yeah. And I love that you said that. And I wrote something down because I was talking to a buddy of mine and we talk about core values a lot, which guys, if you don't have your core values, written out. Like for your business, that's one thing, but for your personal life, it's going to be hard for you to make the best decisions, right? Like think about your character. Who do you want to be? Like what are you trying to create? Like who are you? What do you stand for? And you guys have to have those because that's how we make decisions, right? Like if I knew Matt's core value was like, be coachable, right? Let's just say, and which I know it is actually like part of it, right? And if I was like telling him something, he wasn't embracing the feedback, I'd be like, hey brother, like what about your principle of like coachable? Is that still a thing for you? And like, that's where like the good conversation could come in. But I wrote something down and this wasn't necessarily to you, but I think this is to everybody, me included. And I think this is what we feel a lot of times, but we feel we are, right? So look, anybody read this right now. It says, you are not a victim. You are not a victim. We have to stop acting that way. You know what you are? You're a damn creator. Like you're a creator. Like the life that you built, you've created it and you've had victim story along the way. Imagine if we dropped it. I used to be such a victim, guys. Like, a lot of you guys know my story. Those of you who follow me, from being in jail to homeless to living in motels and the background's kind of extensive and we won't get into it, but it's funny how I was the victim of everything, right? Like it was always somebody else's fault, right? The reason why I ended up living in my car was, my parents' fault. The reason why I lost my car is because of my dad's fault. The reason why I ended up in jail is because of their fault. Like everything was their fault, someone else's fault, not mine. And all that comes back to is like a victim mentality and not owning up to, my mistakes, but not owning up to my action. I think that's where the biggest thing comes in, where it's like, you can own up to your mistakes, but do you own up to the action that you take or do not take, the lack thereof, or the massive action that you take? So guys, you are not victims in a situation. You're not. You are creators. I was watching a show last night and unfortunately this mom who, man, she ran marathons. She was a power lifter, like great shape. She lost her life at 50 from cancer. 50. And they told her 2 years ago that they'd have 4 months with her. And she just lost her life recently. So she lived, almost 2 years past what they said she'd live. And she always had a smile on her face, no matter how much pain she was in. And what she always kind of kept referencing, and not in these words, but was to like love on everybody, especially yourself, right? Like treat yourself to the highest standard. Like you are a creator. She's like, God created this miracle for me to stay, in this earth for another, X amount of years. Like I'm not a victim to cancer. I'm a creator of the circumstances I have. And I'm also a creator of circumstances that I've created. So cancer, she didn't create that. It just hit her, right? It just happened. But she's a creator of what she does with it. She's not a victim to it. I'll repeat that one more time. She's not a victim to the cancer that hit her. She's a creator to the circumstance that she was hit with. Like she created the rest of her life with it. She got to see another grandchild born. She got to go zip lining. She got to put more smiles on more people's faces. Like she's a creator. And so when you lose the victim mentality and you create the victor and a creator mentality, it could change a lot, guys. So when you're about to make these phone calls and you think about, oh, they don't want to talk to me. Like that's a poor me, woe was me story that you're telling yourself. Let's change it because it's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve you. So Kayla, what's going on, girl? Do you have anything to chop it up on this subject?
Well, it's a quote that I feel like finds me a lot when I'm like looking to make changes. And I saw it again yesterday. It's so simple, you probably heard it, but a year ago, you'll wish you started today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love you said that. So my whole desk here, I have like a big L-shaped desk, is a like a glass desk, so I could write on it.
Mhm.
I legit had that quote on my desk for, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Because every time I turn around and it was where I'd usually get distracted. Like I'd get, do something over here just to distract myself from what I know I should be doing. It said, a year from now, you wish you started today.
Yeah.
And it's just that constant.
It's a writer downer.
That is, man. Yeah. And then I always think, like, what would tomorrow think? What would tomorrow think? Another one that hits home, and maybe some of you guys out there can relate. So, when making decisions, and Matt, I'll ask you because you have a kid, right? You have a few of them. when making decisions, if you knew your kids, your son was standing right there doing every decision that you made, would you make a better, higher standard decision majority of the time?
1,000%.
Right? And so guys, listen up. Like if you're about to make phone calls and you got a little Johnny, you got, a little Susie. I don't know if the kids name their kids Susie anymore. Sitting there. They don't? Okay. I thought maybe we might be coming back. They're sitting there and they're looking at daddy and they're looking at mommy and they're like, and you're making excuses on why you're not getting on a phone call to make the money to create the experiences that you told them to create. And they're looking at you. Would you make a better decision and would you dial? I think about it often. Like if Aria was looking at me, what decision would I make? It's that simple, right? What decision would I make if she was standing right here? And so most of the time it's definitely a different decision than what the old John Marone would make. So just a little nugget. Hopefully somebody could use that into their daily decision making. So I want to jump into some role play. Now we don't have a chat box here, but who
you can
here
still
has
put in the Q&A.
And does anybody have questions from the Q&A?
We had someone ask what your podcast was. So I told them it was Powered Progression.
Thank
you. You can find John there.
Yeah, it's on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube as well.
Awesome. We had a few people say they loved that lose your excuses, find your results. So we definitely have some people chatting in and I think they're picking up what you're putting down.
Love it. Love it. I love when the message can resonate. It's weird here because so here's something I read the other day and I won't go too deep into it, but the guy was like, I'm tired of people saying that we're in the same boat. And I thought about it and he's right. We're all in the same storm. But look, we're in different boats. Like my boat looks a lot different than somebody else's boat just because of my optimism, my outlook, my perspective. Now, mind you, that took, training to do. It didn't just happen. Like, so when you say, hey, we're all in this together, I agree with that. But what boat are you going to be in? Like you're going to be with Matt, myself, and Kayla and be in this like perspective shifting, like pivoting boat because we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. But it's up to you what boat you want to ride in. So we will fill our boat up with as many people that are looking to progress forward as possible. But it's just something I was thinking about. I'm like, yeah, we're not all in the same boat. I heard somebody talking about it in the we're outside hanging out and one of our neighbors said it too. And I was like, yeah, but no, because you're looking at this in a whole different negative light and not disregarding the obviously effects that it has. But my perspective is different now, obviously with all the different we're opening up here in Florida. Matt, you guys in your area, some are, some aren't. Kayla, you guys are, I don't even know what you guys are doing. You guys opening up over there?
Georgia is like pretty fully open for the most part. We opened back up on Friday of last week.
Yeah, our beaches here in Destin, we open up May 1st. It's funny. So I want to get into role play, but I just want to laugh at something. So the Chamber of Commerce was it was like a 3-hour Zoom video, and he laid down all the rules that we have for the beach. There really wasn't many, but he did say there is no sunbathing. Okay, and so, but he also said, but you could bring your own chairs. And somebody had asked, so can you like really tell me what does that mean? Like, what do you mean no sunbathing if some people bring chairs? His response, I don't know, lady. I guess it means you can't bring a blanket and lay on it. The congressman, I don't know, lady. I guess you can just you can't bring a blanket and lay on it. If you have further questions, reach out to your local lawyer. What? I swear. I'm like, oh my God. He has no idea. We just wanted to know, like you said, no sunbathing, but we could bring our chairs and tents. I'm confused.
You just have to wear a long sleeve shirt.
And then New Jersey, I heard, is opening up. You can go to the beach, but you got to wear a face mask. My mom's like, I'm not getting that suntan, that sunburn line. No, sirree.
So, John, Pam says that you have a jazzy mic in your boat.
I do have a jazzy mic. I got to have a little.
So, John, we're getting some questions about scripts and some, conversion questions. So, do we... and a couple of objections that people want some help with.
Let's
So
go.
tell me where, and so I'll go ahead and throw this out to everyone else. If you've got other objections you want us to touch on today, go ahead and send those into the Q&A so we can address those. But the first thing is someone asking, I heard on the call yesterday not to say, how can I help you find a home? What should we be saying? Someone said script for conversion in today's world. Give us our starter lines. So do we want to start with just talking about the opening line? And I can throw it up
Yes,
on
ma'am.
screen share real quick too.
You're awesome. Throw that bad boy up. So anonymous attendee, since we don't have your name, about what you heard on a call yesterday. And then Eric, we're going to, I'm not going to give you 3 starter lines. And here's the reason, because there's only one that works best. And that's a problem with a lot of scripts out there. They give you so many options, or, you have 10 different scripts and you get confused on which one to say when, and confused minds don't take action. And we really have found that through our scripting, 5,000 agents, 33% conversion rate, contact to appointment set, that simplicity creates success. And so this is our opening line here. And I do want to touch on the one where she says, how can I help you find a home? I'll tell you why you don't want to say that first, and we'll jump into the actual opening line. The reason why you don't want to say that is of a few reasons, but the main thing is they don't know your value yet, right? They don't think that real estate agents really have value. They think they're kind of lower on a totem pole. So when you call somebody and that person doesn't think you have value, right, and you ask, how can I help you find a home? They're not going to think that you can even help them, because the stat shows 86% of home buyers do not think their agent understands their problem. Now, this script is built to truly dive deep into their true problem. But at first, if you come out with, how can I help you find a home? They're immediately going to be like, I'll let you know, right? Or I'm just looking. So this script has been crafted because we know the objections that are coming our way. So hopefully that answers a little bit of why behind it. And then, so this is for you and Eric. This is the opening line. And it goes, hey, this is John with the home search site. I saw you looking at homes, not houses, homes in Destin. I'm just curious, you looking to make a move in the next, and I just switched this, 6 to 12 months, or are you just browsing? Okay, so 3 to 6 months is what we say in a normal time. We just expanded a little bit during the pandemic, just because it's just makes things a little bit easier. So I saw you're looking at some homes over in Destin area. Just curious, looking to make a move in the next 6 to 12 months, or are you just browsing? We know they're going to say just browsing, right? Like, we know that. And so they say just browsing, and we say, perfect, exactly what the site is for. So while I have you, what's prompting you to browse? While I have you, why are you browsing? One of those two. Now, if they come back and they say, you know what? I'm waiting till all the craziness ends. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, it's just a lot of things are going on that are uncertain. I do exactly this. Now watch my body. Watch my body. No, I totally get it. I'm literally coming back with my hands because it's going to help really create the best tonality for that sentence. No, I totally get it. Look, I just want to know, like, what was the goal before all of this? Super casual. Like, what was the goal before all of this? I don't want to say what's the goal after this, because there's still so much uncertainty. And it's going to bring more uncertainty and lack of clarity into people and confuse people even more. So I totally get it. What was the goal before all this happened? John, I'm just looking for, I was looking for like a 4-bedroom, something bigger. Interesting. So tell me about your current situation. They tell me, pull some nuggets out of it, some bait bombs. And so you said 4 bedrooms. Interesting. Why is that important for you? Unless they already obviously told me in their current situation. So hopefully that helped, Matt. I would love for you to kind of chime in on this. You've been dialing and using this script. So.
Yeah. I love the current situation one. And that's the one that obviously we were using even before any of this crazy virus stuff. But for me, a big one that I've kind of adopted since all this is, like when you talk about current situation, it's really easy to ask them, are you working from home or are you out working in all of this craziness,
Mm.
And again, I'm kind of like back here too for tonality purposes, but you'll typically get, well, I'm working from home. oh, well, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what your situation, what do you do? What's your house like currently? And then if they're like out working and all the craziness, well, tell me a little bit more about what you do. How's it been going out there? What are you seeing? And that one is like, just, it's a home run.
I love
So,
that. I
yeah.
love that. It's so casual and like
Hmm.
conversational, but Matt is setting it up to listen, to understand, not listen to respond, right? Matt has set that question up to not listen to respond with something. Matt doesn't know what he's going to say after that. Like he has an idea. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. You have your directionals of where you can go with it. But what you're doing is you're listening to extract information to build a conversation off of it. Is that correct?
That, and just to, we say it all the time, but to dig a little deeper and get their why, or three whys deep,
Yep.
in regards to their home situation or maybe their employment. So, yeah, it's not that strategic. It's very tactical, but I think it can unpack and allow you to learn a lot about them.
Yeah, and so guys, when you ask a question, the question isn't always like so to me it's not always like the direct answer you listen for. It's like these little context clues, I guess you could say, around like the direct answer that really could bring extreme value because they kind of beat around the bush of, oh yeah, just got a small house and I want a bigger one. And it's like, oh, I heard, small house, and I could really extract that information. So when you ask a question, guys, think about how you can extract the information around possibly the main answer. I mean, obviously the main one as well, but where can you extract the information from an answer they give you and then continue to build value adding conversations around the extracted info? Matt, can you repeat that one more time for Lori, please?
Yes. Sorry, Lori. Whenever I get somebody on the phone, and to John, you might have said this, but I don't bring up the current situation. I don't want to dig my own ditch, dig my own grave. So if they bring it up though, and I'll go into something along the lines of, well, yeah, totally get it, but tell me a little bit more about what you have going on, or what is your job like? Are you working from home, or are you out and about in this craziness? And those two angles there allow me to learn a little bit more about what they do, maybe for employment, and maybe learn a little bit more about their current home or their current living situation. So it's just a why question, essentially.
I love it. And it's so different than calling and asking about the home right away, right? So I know if the anonymous attendee said, oh, how can I help you find a home? Like right now is not the best time to even think about, for them buying a home in their mind. That's what they're thinking. Now we all know that, rates are low. There's way more power in our negotiation skills when there's not, any kind of offers we're battling against. It was funny. Nathan Abbott was on the Facebook group the other day, and I had talked to him offline, and he was like, we live here in Destin where it's a very much of a second home market, or people are going to be moving here and from another place, but a lot of second home, and that's what he deals with. And he said, man, I was talking to him. He's like, I got to get into his virtual game. Like, I'm just not used to it. And I was like, dude, I'm telling you, it works. And I kind of brought him through the process. And he wrote on Facebook the other day that he actually was working with this lady who before that they've shown, I don't know how many homes. It was like 50 plus homes. And the person would not put an offer in. So he did a virtual meeting with her, just talking to her, kind of reevaluating her situation, showed a home virtually, and she wrote the contract. He's like, she saw 50 homes in person and would not buy. But all of a sudden, he articulated the power of buying now and did the virtual meeting and the virtual tour. And he's like, she bought. He goes, it's crazy. I actually like this a lot better than actually seeing people sometimes.
Hey, in the spirit of accountability, because I talked about this on call number 1, I need you guys to hold me accountable. Tony from Texas, CINC lead. We're closing on June 1st. He's never seen the house, and he won't even be there to close. I'm doing the final walkthrough. They're tossing me the keys. I don't even know when he's going to be here, but he's buying a house. So it works.
That's awesome. And let me ask you this. Why did he decide to buy without seeing the house and go virtual? Like, what do you think the key components were? Because I think this is good for people to hear so that they could utilize those key components in their own conversations.
We spent a lot of time on the front end, and the buyer consultation was definitely virtual, and getting to know him and what he was pre-approved for and his price point. Um, and this was not, a fear pitch whatsoever, but I told him, I said, Tony, right now, your dollar will go a little bit further. And there's a good possibility that on the backside of this, now it is an unknown, I'm not forecasting anything or predicting anything, but things will stabilize at some point. And you could be in a multiple offer situation. You could overpay for a place or not get the place you love. So now's the time, man. Now's the time. But obviously leave that up to them and their situation, how they feel about, spending the money and making that commitment. But I feel like we're making the right decision, and he does too. Otherwise he wouldn't have, made the offer and be bound and looking to close in a month. So there we are.
I love that. Guys, make sure you're setting these virtual appointments. We stress this on every call, but like as many virtual appointments as you could set up, that's how, like, you gotta maximize that, because when it clears, and it could be in 30 days, right? Like, look at it. It could be legit in 15 days for some places, 30 days. Some places are kind of opening up now, but maybe people aren't really going out yet. But within 30 days, when everything's open, people are going to start wanting to see people face to face. It is time to set as many virtual appointments as possible to go ahead and make up for all the funds and all the income that you possibly did not make the last 2 months. Like, I know a lot of people that have not created and not hit their goal in the last 2 months, but we changed their goal to not always just, go ahead and selling 10 homes, I should say. It's setting 20 virtual appointments so that come July, we show as many homes as possible. Come September, we're closing on way more homes than we ever thought we could in 1 month. And so that's my point to you guys. These virtual appointments are so important. So important.
Yeah, John, we're getting to a place too, and we obviously need to get rolling on this stuff, but we're getting to a place in this climate where you just got to think about where you're at, like where your thoughts are, your with your health and how you want to perceive and handle the situation. And obviously that's the most important, but two, like, talk to the people that you're corresponding with. Like, if we might be moving out of a virtual phase before long, you want to see where they're at with how they're perceiving the situation. But like yesterday, I went on a listing appointment, and I just was very clear. I was like, Jared, I've been healthy. My family has been healthy. Just curious, you and people in your home, have you been healthy, for my own sake and yours? And we all got to a good place. And I went on a listing appointment yesterday. So there is some normalcy coming back. I just think it's you said it best. You can't assume, and everybody's boat's a little different, right? So it's a good time just to be asking a lot of questions and digging even deeper.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think before we know it, we're going to blink and this is all going to be over. And some of us are going to be still sitting on our hands being like, oh my God, now what? Right? Like scrambling. Okay, now I got to pay my mortgage. Now I got to do this and I got to do that. Like, I think there's a lot of people on this call right now that are possibly sitting on their hands. And I promise you, like, you're going to blink and this stuff's all going to be over. And what are you going to be left to show with? You know what I mean? Like, what you do today will define that.
I see people still posting in like Facebook groups and stuff, not on my phone, just full disclosure, not on my phone, but in Facebook groups and other realtor groups. And they're like, does anybody have a good campaign for the coronavirus? And I'm like, you're so late, pal. You're late to the game. We're on a different place.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. And I'll give you a tip. This is something that I used as an email and it worked. I just did a subject line, RE:coronavirus update. Seriously. And I had so many people open it. And in the email, obviously, I kind of like gave a quick little update on what's going on with coronavirus in our market, right? Or whatever it might be. Coronavirus with your company. Like, give a little update with it so it's not like you're lying, but you want a good open rate? RE:coronavirus update, details below. Like, it, dude, like, I was like, oh my God, it's like 70% open rate. You know what I mean? Now, your content inside of it has to be good and engaging. But if you want a good open rate, that stuff works. I know we had somebody ask, like, hey, what's the best platform? To me, it's Zoom, even though it's so wonky sometimes. Zoom, FaceTime. Like if they got an iPhone, it's just quick and easy FaceTime. You could also use Facebook Messenger. Those are the three main ones. There's a bunch others, but I think those are the three easiest to utilize. Would be first is FaceTime. I think that's the first easiest thing to do. There's no link. There's nothing. It's straight to it. Second would be Zoom. And then third would be like a Facebook Messenger call. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. Those are the easiest. Definitely. Zoom, they have to download something. So if they have an iPhone, I would definitely try FaceTime first. But if they don't, I would try Zoom.
Yeah. Hopefully Samsung will get into the virtual game. Like you would think now that what's going on, that Samsung would be like, oh man, we had an opportunity. Like they could have done something in a virtual game. So
well, there is an app called WhatsApp.
Yeah.
That a lot of people like use to do calls like overseas. So it's really big in Europe. But you can do video calls in that. So they still have to download an app, but it can be a little easier than downloading Zoom for some people.
Yeah.
It's called
absolutely.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. So the first question is, hey, what kind of phone do you have? Do you have an iPhone or do you have a Samsung? All right. Apple or Samsung. And then go that route and then kind of go from there. What else we got? What other questions we have?
One from Anonymous. Best way to frame the virtual appointment while on the initial phone call?
So I could talk about mine, Matt. I'd love to hear yours, and then I'll drop any kind of things in there as well.
I would say, John, 9 times out of 10, our buyers have the very best experience when we do a buyer consultation. That's face-to-face. That could be in our office, or I don't mind, we can do coffee, or we could do happy hour, whatever works best for you. But understanding that times are a little different right now, we could either do, like a Zoom call or FaceTime. How would you, prefer, or are you familiar with those?
I'm not really familiar with those. I have a Samsung, so I don't do FaceTime, but I'm not too familiar with how to use Zoom.
Okay. Well, would you be open to setting if I sent you a link from Zoom, would you be open to maybe trying it out? And I'll tell you what Zoom is, John. It's a link that you can click and you can either dial in, or if you have a phone or a laptop with a camera, we can actually do kind of a face-to-face meeting. It's really casual. So if you're open to that, would that maybe be an option?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to send it over to me, I think I could. If as long as it's easy, I'm not too tech savvy. So
yeah, okay. Do you prefer working from like a laptop or from your mobile phone?
Depends on the time of day, but if it's like a video, probably my laptop, I would assume.
Okay, well, it's really conducive for a laptop. It'll be super casual. Pants are optional, so you only like waist up, so we're good. But I don't know, you kind of get where I'm going there. So I'm just.
I love that you said pants are optional. By the way, like that's just Matt's style. Like just having fun with it, right? Like that will lighten things up, and it'll make the person probably want to get on another call with them because Matt's interesting to talk to. I love that, Matt. Here's what I would do as well is. So people respect processes, right? So this is the kind of route I'd go. So Matt, the next step in the process, all right? So Matt, the next step in the process is this. We'll simply just get on a quick virtual call on a Zoom, on a FaceTime, some kind of video platform. This way you can go ahead and see me face-to-face-ish. You can go ahead and hear our strategy. And, we want to make sure that during the biggest transaction of your life, that you understand, you like, and you trust the person that's handling it as well as their strategy. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set that up. And then from there, I'll actually bring in my preferred lender. So if there's any questions on finances, he can go ahead and help you with that as well. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
So those little words like, hey, the next step in the process is this. Most of the times they don't get it. Like they don't know the next step. So it's time for us to tell them. So I'll tell you the next step in the process is this. We're going to set up a simple or a quick, right? Set up a simple or a quick virtual meeting. And then now if he's like, oh, I don't understand how to do that. Well, it's actually funny. Most people don't realize, Matt, that you could actually do an entire purchase of a home virtually. We actually just did a few this past week. But look, I'm not asking you to go buy a home tomorrow. I just want to make sure that you understand our strategy. And most importantly, man, Matt, if there's something that comes on the market that like checks off all the boxes, that same platform that you and I had connected on, I could do a virtual tour for you and see if that's something that, you really, really want to take a deeper look at. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
So I'm using that as well as like, hey, look, I'm not asking you to go see a house, but if one does come on the market, then we can at least, take a look at it. And another thing I would do, like if, when Matt was talking and I was like, no, I don't really know how to use it. And I knew that person's situation. Like I knew they had grandkids, they had people in a different state, whatever it might be. If I knew that, I'd be like, oh, Matt, you're going to love this. So it's actually something, Zoom is something that we use for our entire family. And not just during the craziness, but all times where, we chime in on people's birthday. We'll go ahead and do family game night from one place of the country to the other place. It's a great communication platform to stay connected with your loved ones. So once you learn how to use it in the 3 minutes it'll take you, you're going to be using it way more than just to meet me. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I'm used, like that's obviously if I know, I'm not going to bring that up if I don't know if he has people that, family that don't live near him. If I just think he's a single dude and he's 25 years old, I'm not necessarily going to go that route. But if I know that they're probably missing their family members from, their grandkids and this and that, I'll probably touch on that.
So I want to share this anecdote from Lori and then pitch you a couple of objections that you guys can help us handle.
No.
But Lori just shared that she's busier now than ever, had a new CINC lead sign up, had barely ever been to the city, quickly found him a property, did a virtual showing, went under contract, closed in a week. He came down here from New York last week doing his 14-day self-isolation from a beautiful new home here. And then she says, this is the best market ever right now because you have a captive audience.
Yes. Where are you from, Lori? Do you know where she's from?
Yeah, no, tell us where you're. She's in Naples, Florida, second home market.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. That just shows you like it works. It does work when you work it, right? That's cool. I love success.
That's just something we talked about on our webinars yesterday too, is that people are home right now and they're probably more like they're going to actually talk a little bit more because their schedules have changed and they're not rushing from meeting to meeting. We are still busy, but it's not the same as when we were in office and, feeling a little crazier. Now people are home and sometimes they just want to break from the people in their house and they're more likely to talk to somebody.
Yeah, she said it. She said that we have a captive audience and I don't even need a captive audience. I just need an available audience. And when you think about how we train, and it's like we talk about all these call hacks of when to call. We don't even need that right now. We should be calling all the time, So that's a good point.
Yeah. So here's an easy question. Do you guys leave voicemails for prospects?
Matt, 1, 2, 3. No.
Negative. That's a big no.
We had somebody last time say that their broker wants them to leave a voicemail. And so like the reason why we say no is just because of the data behind it. When you leave a voicemail and then you're probably calling around the same time every single day or a certain time of day every single week, whatever it might be, they know it's you and you haven't provided any value to them yet. They don't want to be sold, so they're not going to pick up. All right, they're not going to pick up. And so, yeah, I would not leave voicemails, especially not to new ones. Now, this person's been in your system for a really long time. You can have fun with it, Hey, Matt, it takes 17 calls for somebody to pick up, right, to get a hold of somebody. This is call 10. Let's go ahead and cut out the next 7. Just give me a ring back. Like that works. Crazy and weird as it is, it works. Just having fun with it. But 95% of the time, no, I wouldn't leave voicemails. Especially not in the first, several calls, probably not in the first several months.
Yeah, but we'll make the distinction because we always get this follow-up question. If it's a follow-up that you're doing, someone that you've already spoken to, totally cool to leave a voicemail for that person. But for a prospect, someone you've never spoken to, don't do it.
Yeah, so Kayla, absolutely. And when you leave a voicemail for somebody that you spoke to, please do not leave a voicemail that's very vague of like, hey, this is John. I just want to see how your search is going. Give me a call back if you need anything. Do not leave that type of voicemail. Type of voicemail you want to leave, no matter if it's somebody that you know or you don't know, whatever it might be, is you want to have urgency, okay, and a call to action. Think about that. Urgency and a call to action. Hey, Kayla, I know that you're looking at a 4-bedroom, 2-bath over in downtown. Look, one just came on the market, and I actually know the listing agent. If you want me to do a quick virtual tour for you, I would love to, but give me a call right back because this thing is not going to last. Like, I know her. I've talked to her. I know what she wants, and I'm bringing some kind of urgency, which is, so first I'm bringing a house that she wants, right? So I'm bringing value, and then urgency that it's possibly going to be leaving off the market soon, and then also call to action. Call me right back. Hopefully that helped.
Yeah, that's great. What do you do if someone is like a year or 2 years out from making a move?
Can I handle that one? And then you could touch on the Matt. So first, if they say they're a year or 2 years out, I'd say, perfect. That's exactly when people start looking. So let me ask you, you're looking for a 3 or 4 bedroom? I'm going right into it because how many times has somebody said they're a year out or 2 years out and you talk to them 6 months later and they already bought a house? Maybe 5, 6, 10 times. How many times a year? Let's say it's 3 times a year. And let's say your commission is $10,000. $30,000 you lost? Now 60 the next year? Now 90 the next year? What could you do with $90,000 over the course of 3 years if you just decided to change the mindset that they're probably lying to you? They're saying that because they have a fear of disappointment, right? The fear of disappointment, they're not going to get the house they want, the lifestyle they want, whatever it might be. So that I'm a year or 2 out. In some cases, that is true. Hey, I'm retiring. I'm moving there in 2 years when I retire. But there's opportunities there for VRBO, right? For rental income to go ahead and start paying off the principal. So there's still an opportunity there. But also there's like hey, my kid's going to be in school. They're done in 2 years. That's when we're moving. That sometimes is the case. But I need to have the thought process that I don't know what the true situation is. Until I know it, I can't assume that they're being truthful to me. I need to hear more about their situation in order to believe they're a year or 2 out. Does that make sense? Matt, what do you think about that if I say I'm a year or 2 out?
Yeah, it's crazy how time flies, right, John?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, my 20th high school reunion is going to be this fall, assuming that things get somewhat back to normal. But that seems crazy to me. But when we get there, next year, 2 years, whatever, and you're not in a bad place because a lot of folks start looking right now. It might seem a ways away, but when we get there, what does the perfect house look like for you guys? What do you think the perfect house will look like for you guys then? Boom. So I'm going to get some feedback on their criteria. And then, like you said, when you asked about 3 or 4 bedrooms, then I'm going to start digging.
Yeah. And so, guys, if he says perfect house and they're like, Matt, I have no idea. Matt would follow it up with, and I'm assuming here, Matt follow up. Okay. Hey, what do you think? Like 3 or 4 bedrooms?
Yep.
4 bedrooms. Interesting. Why 4 bedrooms? So, he says perfect home. That could be set up for them to say, I have no idea. And Matt's not going to be fazed by it because he's equipped to the next question of, okay, no big deal. But are you thinking like 3 or 4 bedrooms? Man, I'm thinking 8. Okay. Just like it's funny because a lot of people are scared to ask a question because they don't know where to go with the next one. But if you realize there's not one thing you could say that'll ruin a deal, if you just think that way, you won't be as scared to ask as many questions.
Now, y'all, I feel like this might be a good segue for how you use that information that they give you. So when you dig deeper and you find out their motivation and you find out what they're looking for, how do you guys use that to close? Can you kind of share that script with us?
Yeah. Do you have it on the slideshow or possibly, or no? So we can have it up there. I mean, I know it obviously.
No,
I
can get it. I can type it up real quick so everyone can see it.
Yeah. So guys, this is when somebody is giving you their true pain or pleasure, right? Their real motivation, not they want to get closer to work, but the 3 levels deep version of it. When somebody does that, and at the end of the call, they still say, Matt, I still want to wait 12 months. Matt, I just want to, still not sure, whatever the case is. You say simply this. Hey, let me ask you this, Matt, if I were to find you that 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that got you 10 minutes closer to work, so you're getting 10 hours back in your week, so you could finally start going to your kids' baseball games. You could finally start eating dinner with them that you've been wanting to do and create those memories. Would you consider moving sooner? And that's it. So it's, hey, look, let me ask you this, that little transition. If I were to find you that 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, whatever it is, a little bit of what in there, that got you 10-minute driving distance to your work, right? That's the first level of a why. Now I go deeper. So you can go ahead and get 10 hours back in your week, right? Second level. Third level, this way you could see your kids' baseball games. Not to worry about rushing around. Hopefully you could make them. You could eat dinner with your kids. I know that's something that you said you've been wanting to do. And you can finally create those forever memories. Would you consider moving sooner? So as I'm saying these 3-level deep whys, I am not rushing through them. Not like, hey, Matt, so if I can get you a 3-bedroom, 4-bath house to get you closer to work and get you to see your kids' baseball games and to eat dinner, I'm not doing that. I'm creating empathy and creating a space for him to visualize. So that's why I pause, right? To do this, pause. To do this, pause. To create this, pause. Would you consider moving sooner? Now, if they say, no, man, I just don't think so. Okay, cool, Matt. I'm just interested. Like, why not? Why not? Don't be scared to ask why somebody's not going to do business with you. Don't be scared to ask that. Like, that's your last ditch effort. Like, okay, why not?
Kind of uncovering any hidden objections or hidden hesitancies from them when you ask why not, things they didn't share with you before because they were afraid to talk about them.
Yes. And we probably didn't do a good job of extracting the right information and digging deep, whatever it is. But look, we got this far into the call, right? Like don't give up. Please don't give up. Don't say, okay, I'll change your search when you're ready. Let me know, because guess what? Matt's going to call them and Matt's going to go ahead and close them because he's going to articulate some other things. Maybe you didn't, whatever. Now you won't win them all, but we're not expected to, right? You're not expected to. All right. Did that answer it, you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Hey, is there a way, by the way, to put the link in for the calls in May? No, right?
No, but it's already in the follow-up email that they will get when this call wraps up.
So quick intermission, a little public service announcement. This call that we've been doing every single Wednesday, I love them. I mean, I just love having you guys on, Matt and Kayla. You guys help me so much with providing value and the little nuggets that you guys drop. So first off, thank you guys for always jumping on. And so we want to keep doing this through the month of May, but we have our every other Monday call. And so what we decided to do is do every other Wednesday, we're going to have a call like this. Okay. So you have one Monday, you'll have a call. The next Wednesday, you'll have a call like this, which is rewire your mindset, reshape your skill set. But we're going to do a little differently because we want everybody's faces on here. So in an email that we're going to be sending with the survey, like a follow-up email, you must go click the link to register for next month's call. Hear me again. This link will no longer be valid. The one that you clicked, the one that you're jumping on today is no longer valid after today. There's a new link that you must click and register for all of May's Rewire Your Mindset, Reshape Your Skill Set calls. So please, 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 please do that. We're having 2 in May. You're not going to want to miss them. And then there's an option to get on camera, which I would suggest everybody do, but it's not a requirement. It's just a hope. So just give you guys that heads up. We'll send you that email. Please register for it. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the calls.
You can also get it from going to cincommunity.com/webinars. That schedule is up for May.
Boom. Perfect. Like I said, we're not done yet. I still want to hold on for a few more minutes and see what questions we got to answer them. So Shoot them away. What you got, Kayla?
Yeah. So, what if you've been given an incorrect phone number? Would you send an introductory email if the email was valid? Matt, what do you do for that?
First things first, just confirm it is an incorrect phone number. I think it's pretty important just to try to do our best to make sure that I mean, you're going to get some invalid numbers that just don't work, but at the same time too, you're going to need to call these folks and try to make sure that, that is the person on the other end that we thought it was, or it's not. But yeah, I mean, email is kind of like your last lifeline there. If I see, what I'll do is I'll check to see if there's any email activity. CINC does a great job of reporting that. And then two, like look at what they're looking at on their property alerts. If they're opening property alerts, well, we've got a good email. So yeah, your email might be your only opportunity for prospecting. So yeah, that's an instance where I might email somebody, but I'm not a big email fan. I'm just not. I just think they're somewhat obsolete. There's so much spam and junk out there that it just we get lost in the noise a lot of the times.
Hey, what's the thing, Kayla, you might know, Matt, you might know, where we can go ahead and get their number by like their email and a few other things. Do we have that in CINC, or is there a separate product that you guys are using?
I know a lot of people use what's called Spokio to look up contact information. It's just the word spoke with an O on the end, to look up contact information. And another one that people use is called, I don't know exactly how you say it, maybe Pipple. I don't know. It's PIPL. I've heard both of those are good for that. In CINC, we check the validity, but sometimes it's only as good as like the platform that they're using. Like, for example, Yahoo email addresses sometimes shows invalid even though they're valid, and that's because Yahoo's weird about sharing information with third parties. So we try, but those other services like Spokio can be helpful if there's someone you're really trying to track down.
Yeah, then Whitney said PIPL.com, so the Pitbull thing that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's worth it. It's usually pretty cheap from my understanding. When we used to do it back in the ISA games and the sales games, where we would have, I mean, thousands and thousands, and we just go ahead and run it through the system, and it's definitely worth it.
So Bill asked a follow-up, Matt, if you can't get them on the phone and you don't like email, how do you try to communicate with them?
I'll still keep, if it's a good number, I'll still keep dialing, that especially if their activity's up, they'll keep falling into our save filter. So we're still prospecting them. It might be an instance where we're just not trying at the right time. And even too, like John said, 10, 17 times we're making calls. Maybe at some point a voicemail is, your last lifeline. So that's an option. But I dislike email for all those reasons that I just mentioned, that there is so much junk and spam out there. People care about houses. That's why our property alerts are so effective. They don't want another email from me. But yeah, if it's your only option, I do like, what is it called? Like the ones without links. What are those emails called?
Plain text emails.
Plain text. They look more authentic. They seem like they're actually coming from you. I keep it very short, very simple. Get back to me, let me know, all those things to try to get I just want a response. So those are angles I will take with email. Plain text is awesome because it looks really awesome.
Now this kind of ties in with a question that Bill sent in too. How can you integrate the video feature for text and email with all of this? So should we even be using video, text, and emails? Because he says a text video is pretty much like a voicemail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not prospecting with it just yet, but that's still so new that I don't know. I haven't really. Yeah, I'm probably the wrong person to ask on that.
I know some people have had a lot of success with it, especially if you've been using video, text, and email through another service, and you have some great scripts that really work. I think it can be really cool to put a face with a name. A video text is really short, so it's only 20 seconds. So there's not so much you can say, but it can make some people feel better about talking to you because now they know you're a real person, and you're not, some, call center like overseas, which some people are afraid of. So you just have to try. we're like big believers in beta testing. Don't try it for everyone and then never look at your results. Try it for a few people, see if you're getting responses, try a couple different scripts to see what works. So then you can really hone in on what's going to be successful for you and not just put everything you have into it, never see if it's working, and then wonder why people aren't, giving you a ring back.
Yeah, absolutely, Kayla. Kayla kind of took the words right out of my mouth because she's right. I mean, if you're going to do it, you want to definitely beta test it, right? So take 60 of your leads and do it that way. And out of the 60, I want you to do 30 one way and 30 another way. So you split test it, right? You A/B test it. So I do one script, for 30, I'll do another script for another 30, and then truly track it and see kind of where you're at with that. And see, hey, look, man, if you can get X amount, you see it coming in, you see the flow coming in. Now you know what works. It's just like ads, right? I mean, you're going to go ahead and, you got to do a beta test or A/B test. So take 60 people, 30 and 30, a different script, and then just truly track it and see what they turn into. And that's how you make the best decision.
Yeah, and our filters and our save filters make it really easy to do things, strategically with a purpose. So it's really handy for beta testing things like that.
Yeah, and I just I'll share a couple of anecdotes that some people are sharing in Q&A. Lori said she sent out video emails and got some great feedback from it. They said they had yet to see an agent communicate this way before, and that it was well received.
Awesome.
So that's some anecdotal evidence from Lori. And then Mina shared that she's done video texting on her iPhone and has been successful 50% of the time, which is a pretty good number. So I like, both of those ladies are tracking how successful it is instead of just sending it out and hoping that someone gets back to them.
They're probably just way better looking than I am. So that's
yeah, but you have
whatever. You would do so well, Mr. Smooth Talker.
No.
Yeah. Radio voice. That's the only reason why I bring you on here. It's not for the value add. It's just to switch up my voice to yours. That's it.
The truth comes out. Now we know.
Yeah, that's it.
So here's an easy one, but we get it a lot. Do you still call people who have unsubscribed from email and text?
Absolutely, 100%. Never trash them. You call them. You don't act as if they unsubscribed. If they say they unsubscribed, your response is, oh, I'm super curious. Where did we drop the ball? I want to make sure that your experience, anyone after's, doesn't make them unsubscribe like you did. And that's it. So she's like, where did we drop the ball? Most of the time, if they unsubscribe, it's either A, they bought a home already, or B, they came in looking at $1 million property when really they could only afford a $200,000 property. And so all they're getting is these $1 million properties, and it's not aligning with what they could truly get because it's coming off their first search. So that's what that's the big thing. There's so much gold in unsubscribes. Every time we do a power hour, I challenge people to call some unsubscribed. And it works really, 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 really well. It says, what about people who already have an agent? So first off, don't ask if they have an agent. Don't ask. And if they come out and they say they have an agent, say, okay, Matt, totally get it. Let me ask you this. If I were to find you some off-market properties that didn't hit the MLS yet, would you want me to send them to you?
Or John, if I was able to find a really good deal, would you want to know about it?
I guess.
Absolutely. I'm saying yes in that instance, or actually when they respond that way, it's like, oh, now they're going to cheat on their agent. Even better.
Yep. And the best part is they probably don't have one. That's just their defense mechanism, right? And then I just go right into, okay, I just want to make sure I'm sending you the good deals that match what you're looking for, or I'm going to send you the homes that match what you're looking for. So what is it? 3 or 4 bedrooms? Oh, it's 4 bedrooms. I go right back into the script. That got derailed for a second and go right back into the normal script. What else we got, Kayla?
Let's see. How do you work with people who only text you with questions but don't answer their phone when you call?
Matt, you want to take that one?
I want to work with all of those people. Just more efficient, I guess. But I think it's fair if you've got a text relationship going on with somebody. I think at some point it's fair just to ask when would be a good time for us to actually chat. Like when would be a good time for us to hop on the phone, just so I can get a better idea for what you're looking for, a better idea about your situation.
Yeah. So the next step in the process is for us to grab a quick phone call.
Yeah, I love that.
So when's going to be a good time for you? Once again, I'm not going to ask you to go buy a home tomorrow. I just want to make sure I know everything you're looking for, so that during one of the biggest transactions of your life, we don't waste any time, as well as you understand our strategy to make sure we're getting you the best deal. And then if they don't answer, say, let me know, ... That usually works to get them to at least respond.
So this is one that's near and dear to my heart because I do the webinar on prospecting and how to do it effectively and efficiently. So Matt asked, do you call new leads daily, and for how long?
Go ahead, Kayla, get it.
Well, Matt is the agent on the call, so I'll ask him what he does.
Two-part question, it looks like. So I'll say yes, and then I'll say forever.
Yes.
No, I do. Yeah. What do they say, John? It's like 6 to 7 times, which I think now it's probably even higher because there is so much spamming and robo dialing going on. At one point it was like 6 times for a contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's easy to do. I mean, like twice, you're calling mornings and afternoons. That's 3 days, right? So, if you don't get somebody, that's still not an excuse to give up. And again, it's what I love about our filters and the ability to have saved filters. I've got people in my database that have been in there for 3,000 days that are still logging in, or maybe haven't logged in 1,000 days. I can still find them and still dial them to try to get an update on their situation.
Yeah,
I'll just say there are so many people that post in our Facebook groups, hey, I just closed someone that's been in my platform for 883 days. And sometimes they've spoken to them early on in that process, and then they, work with them years later. Or it could be that those people never answered until, a few months before that. So you just never know when someone's situation changes. We know that people register on upwards of like 5 sites when they start their search. So when they very first start the search, it can be overwhelming because they're probably getting calls from multiple agents. They're getting multiple emails, texts, property alerts. So sometimes they check out. But if you consistently keep trying to reach out to them, make sure that their property alerts look like they make sense based on what they're looking at. Like eventually those people decide to make a move, and it's the person who's been consistent that's going to win the business. If you call them 3 times and say, oh, they don't want to talk to anyone, you wouldn't know that they bought a house 883 days later. How easy is it to just let them continue to check property alerts, keep reaching out to them, and then earn their business years later?
I'll challenge people, go look at your leads, and you'll see a lot of people that registered 10 days ago. Their last login was 10 days ago, and they looked at 6 homes. It's not a bad lead. They came and they got what they needed and they left. We should still be calling them and trying to help them.
Here's a funny stat, right? I mean, it's the average person, the average agent calls a lead 2 times. And so for me, it's like, okay, if they've been in my system, and this is usually what happens, they've been in my system for 100 days, let's say. Well, then probably been in almost everybody's system for around that 50 to 100 days, right? They're probably not logging into new systems. They're probably just continually logging into the same one after that first little round. So if I'm still calling in 200 days later, I doubt anybody else is. So I know they're not getting overwhelmed with calls from agents. So that's the first step. It's like, are you going to outcall your competitor? Like, will you outwork your competitor? In this aspect is, will you outcall them? So you never stop calling. Like my biggest commission checks, always came after the words. And this is like, I could tell you story after story, always came after, thank you for being so persistent. Thank you for being so persistent. I was just busy. I was this, whatever the case was. But all the time, thank you for being so persistent. So persistency with consistency will win.
Yeah, we got this question. So after, say, 14 days of calls with no response, do you still call those daily or less and check in once a week, for example? I hope that you watched the webinar that we did yesterday if you're not already working out of your P filters, because those prospecting filters in CINC If they're in there, I'm calling them. And when they fall out of there, I'm not worried about them. But when they come back in those filters, I'm calling them. That way you're not having to dig through and say, well, who should I call today? Like CINC tells you who to call today.
Yeah,
So if you're not using the P filters, you're missing out on basically your daily call list made for you.
Yeah, I would just say don't get hung up on those, because if you're using the dialer, it's a few seconds of a ring. You're still trying, and I would just challenge you to think: are we calling it alternative times? And if you have tried continuously for a long period of time, are you trying a voicemail or a text or an email that you think would get a response? You know,
Yep.
we coach in a certain way and train in a certain way, but at some point it's like you've got to try what you can try, you know?
Yeah, so the saying definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different response.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, you got to switch it up. You know, that's why we say don't ever leave a voicemail until you feel like you've tried everything else.
Yeah, and as Kayla says that, guys, everything else isn't like done in 7 days. there's a longevity of it. Switch up call times, right? Call days. Like if they know you're calling, it's 2:00 every single Tuesday, every single Thursday. Like they probably understand maybe not who you are, but that you're a bot or possibly a bill collector or a telemarketer. So switch up your call time, switch up your call days, especially now. There's no like real good, there's no like perfect call time right now. I don't think there's good ones, but the best time to call is when you can call, right? That's the first step. But I would switch up your call days and call times if you're not getting a hold of somebody. What else we got on the questions?
Let's see. What do you do with people that have just bought their home, but now they're on there just looking?
Matt, you want to take that one?
Yeah. You know, it's obviously discouraging because we missed an opportunity there, but I'd still try to dig deep. You know, tell me a little bit more about where you bought, what you bought, why you bought it. Try to confirm it, maybe spend a little time and confirm it in the tax records. And then this is something that Kayla and I train at CINC on day 3, but we convert our buyers, whether they're internal or external, like in this situation where we find out that they already bought, we convert them to sellers because they might be selling that home at some point. So we'll update their good address into CINC and then turn on the property or the home valuation.
Boom.
Let's see. A couple of kind of tips that people are sending in. Someone says, I always ask when they say they have a realtor, great, what's their name? I'm always looking for great agents to add to my team. So that's a little variation you can try if you want to see how that works for you. And then Bill shared that he recorded 2 videos for text and email, and he said, I've had some connectivity. I tell them I'm not a robot, but a human behind this site. The robot bit is when I get them on the phone, not on a video. I keep it animated and upbeat.
That's
perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, the whole text, you want to get them on the phone. It's like the levels, right? Text, phone, then virtual.
Yeah, and so I think I like that kind of share because it's all your personality. If it feels authentic to you, you're going to make a better connection with that person than if you try some script that doesn't, if you feel awkward saying it, like it's going to come across awkward. So just make it your personality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like if somebody decides that they don't want to work with you just based on that text message or that email message, then chances are I probably don't want to work with them either. You know?
Facts, Jack. Facts.
Yeah. John, I think we're caught up on questions.
Awesome. Well, we're wrapping it up here and we're coming to an end. So obviously today's a little bit different without the chat and everything. But I think that the questions that were coming in were extremely valuable. So thank you for everybody who sent in those questions. And don't forget, the email that we're going to send out does have the link for the new webinar/meetings that we're going to be doing in May. So you must sign up for it in order to get on those calls. This will no longer be valid, this link. But Matt, Kayla, I'm going to pass this over to you and see if you guys have any parting words.
Ladies first.
For me, I'm going to share to just reiterate the quote that I shared earlier, like a year from now, but even sooner than that, like 3 months from now, you will wish that you had just gotten started today. I am like a huge believer in listening to like the experts on this pandemic. Like I'm very scientifically minded. I'm being super careful about where I go and who I come into contact with. But that being said, don't let that hold you back from making connections with people and doing those virtual appointments. You don't have to be face-to-face with people to do business right now. And even if you get in touch with someone that's not even ready to do a virtual appointment, those relationships that you start to build right now are going to get you so much closer to where you want to be. So, you may be out showing people homes virtually. You may have, like Matt, do a safe, socially distant, listing appointment. Those relationships that you start to build now are what's going to set you up for how you end this year. So it's really important to stay safe, but also like don't let that hold you back from doing the things you need to do.
I love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you know how a lot of times realtors will pump the brakes a little bit, like in November, December, around the holidays and stuff, and it shows in their business 30, 60, 90 days later. It's kind of reflected in January, February, when things might be a little slower. And let's not let that be us on the backside of this in June, July, August, when we should typically be crushing it. But don't wait till then to get started. Start now. Start after this call. And then two, we've had some conversation about having CINC in June and July, right? And is that Atlanta and Phoenix, Kayla?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would love, I'm going to be there, and I want to see people, and I want to train, and I want to go live. So it will be responsible from a distancing standpoint. And we're doing all kinds of precautions and things, but that opportunity, as of right now, that opportunity is out there to get trained on more of this kind of stuff, and systems training as well.
Yeah, they can find all that at cincommunity.com. I'll kind of leave you guys with this. And first thing is, something like that Kayla talked about, hey, if they're not ready for a virtual appointment, we want to continually obviously push them to it. But are you facilitating the relationship, or are you trying to facilitate a sale? Let's start facilitating relationships that create the sale, right? Facilitate a conversation that will facilitate a conversion. And so when you think about that, it brings a little bit different of perspective when you're making these dials. Another thing I want to talk about is we're doing one of two things every single day. We're either walking in the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And the thing about the pain of regret is this, that sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't come till almost it's too late. 15 pounds overweight, no money in the bank, bills piled up, relationships failed 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. And so it's easier to really walk in a pain of regret because you don't feel it right away, right? But when you do feel it, it sucks, but you don't feel it right away. But the pain of discipline, you got to feel every day, right? You got to overcome that battle between the ears every day. So the pain of discipline is a daily battle you must face, but most of us decide to deal with the pain of regret, which is going to be the ultimate pain. So ask yourself on a daily basis, am I walking through the pain of discipline today or the pain of regret? And then lastly, we started to call this way, no excuses, just results. Once you lose your excuses, you find your results. Plain and simple. Imagine your life without excuses. Imagine what your relationships, your income, your experiences, your impact, your legacy would look like if you just left all those excuses and those disempowering beliefs behind you. Imagine what your life would look like. The greatest part is you're in control of making that decision. It's the power of choice. So imagining it can actually become a reality, but only if you choose to go ahead and make the decision to leave the excuses behind. Stop being an excuse maker and be an action taker, right? No excuses, just results, guys. Let's make it happen this week and every day going forward. If you guys need us, reach out to us. Reach out to Matt. You reach out to myself. Reach out to
Start today. Start today.
Yes, start today. You're going to wish you wish you did a year from now, 3 months from now. But if you need us, reach out to us on our social media platforms, on email, whatever it might be. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next conversion call on Monday, or when you guys sign up for the new link for every other Wednesday in May. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Have a phenomenal rest of your day. Go crush it. And guys, we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks,
See you guys.
John. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Later.